This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
This episode is brought to you by Bumble, who says Valentine's Day is just for couples. Just because you're not in a relationship doesn't mean you can't get out there and live your best love life. That's where Bumble comes in. This February 14th, you can flip the script and give those relationshipers a friendly dose of FOMO. Say no to staying in this Valentine's Day and yes to more. More dates, more first kisses, more gossip for the group chat girlies. Do Valentine's your way. Date now on Bumble.
This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 2051. Does joining a grief support group on Facebook help? By Reid Peterson of griefrefuge.com. Hello, everybody. I'm your host and narrator, Greg Audino. Really looking forward to kicking off a brand new episode of ORD with you. And today's post is another from Reid Peterson of Grief Refuge. He'll be talking about grief and how the process of grieving intersects with Facebook and the common tendency to share or seek support on social media. So let's hear what he's got for us and start optimizing your life. Does joining a grief support group on Facebook help? By Reid Peterson of griefrefuge.com. Some friends of mine recently lost a baby. The only way I know about this is from what they posted on Facebook. They were quite transparent and open about their loss, and they shared pretty much all of it on their profile page. As I read the post, I thought to myself, how sad and painful their loss must be. I also thought, why are they sharing something as personal and painful as this on Facebook? I mean, it was a very intimate sharing. It was a story filled with details of a 72-hour time period. After reading it for a while, I realized I had been holding my breath. There was so much loss, so much beauty, all in front of my eyes on this web page. The moment it sank in that I had all this information about their loss, but hadn't talked to them, I began to feel sick to my stomach. I thought to myself, this is wrong. News like this shouldn't be shared this way. This is so personal, and I am more comfortable being with them, listening, empathizing, and even crying together if it felt authentic. But this is life now. The pandemic, everyone being busy, and social media as the norm for communication is how our world currently works. Technology is at our fingertips, and it's simply more convenient and common to broadcast events in your life on social media to stay in touch. But are you staying in touch? It's more like keeping tabs on others. Some people call this Facebook stalking. It's so easy to scroll through your Facebook wall, learn from the things people share, not comment or interact, and move on. That's also life right now. At this point, I have a question for you. Are you comfortable with sharing personal and intimate information on Facebook when you know that many people will read it and not respond? For me, the answer is no. It's just too awkward. And if I were to share something very personal, I would need to hear from people that mattered to me in order to get the support I'm looking for. Then there's also the issue about text. Not text messages, but text on screens. It's too easy to hide behind text. There are ways for posts to be filtered and shared in certain ways that are misleading, biased, or even untruthful. Coming back to the friends who lost their baby, after I got over my uncomfortable feeling about Facebook being the source of how I found out, I began to wonder what their intention was for sharing such a deeply personal thing on Facebook. Were they saving time by making an announcement to the masses? Were they seeking reinforcement and validation for their loss? Were they wanting to feel more seen and heard? I don't know what their intention was, and I likely never will. I could read through the several hundred comments to try to better understand. I could call them up and ask. I could bring it up with them the next time we're together. But I won't do any of those things. There's a strong likelihood that neither one of us will mention it in person. So, here I am. I've got this personal information, and I'm not really sure what to do with it because it doesn't feel right for me to comment on Facebook. How strange our world is. I I realize I'm of the opinion that expressing grief on Facebook is not as helpful as it would be to share with someone live and in person. That may be a little old school, and I'll definitely own that. However, I have seen hundreds of Facebook posts from people who are deeply pained by personal loss, but the people who comment end up sharing platitudes, judgments, and/or cliches as a way of showing their support. Every time I see that, I ask myself, how helpful are these comments to the person who posted? Fortunately, I get opportunities to ask what happens after grief is shared, and no one responds. Nearly every time I ask someone, they say it doesn't help. They say they feel more lonely because what they were hoping for as a means of support wasn't expressed to them by what was shared in the comments. And I find that very sad. We live in a world of technological convenience. All the texting, voice dictation, and 10-second videos are what's common and normal now. This is the way we communicate. And with that convenience, there's a price to pay. Without hearing a tone of voice or seeing body language, it can be easy to read between the lines and assume. It is also easy to receive these words through your own filtered perception. Again, there's no way to know how someone is voicing what they communicate when it's all in the form of text. Having mentioned all this, I want to emphasize a moment of caution should you choose to share your grief on Facebook. Facebook, as with other social media platforms, is a very convenient way to communicate something. In regards to grief, it's easier than ever to find grief support groups on Facebook to share parts of your story and more about your loss. But what will come back to you? Who will respond? What will they write? I find it very courageous for grievers to join a Facebook group and type out a very personal and emotional message and then press the post button. That's a lot of trust to put into other members of the group. And yet, no one really knows each other. They just trust that other members have also lost someone special and that they'll understand, comment with words of support, and help you feel comforted in some of your most painful and vulnerable moments. How much trust can someone put into a group of strangers? I'm a member of several grief support groups on Facebook. On a daily basis, I see very few comments from one member to another that are very supportive and comforting. I have to assume their intentions are good, but there's a lot of assumptions that are exchanged. For example, imagine if you were in a situation where you were not just socially distant from your loved ones, but they lived very far away. You're more alone than ever, and you lean towards Facebook to feel a connection. You post something about the loss of your dad, and no one comments. How would you feel? That's one way grief can feel more hurtful. Or what if, for that same post, you got comments such as sending virtual hugs, or sending good vibes, or hugs and prayers? Comments such as these can leave a griever feeling invisible, insignificant, and uncared for. Where I advise more caution in sharing your grief on Facebook is with your intentions and expectations. It's common to hope for lots of comments and emojis to help you feel more comforted. There's nothing wrong with that intention. But be careful about your expectations. If you expect dozens or more comments and responses, it's really going to hurt if you don't receive them. It's also going to hurt if you expect real acknowledgement and connection. Somehow, Facebook has created a perception that you'll get that. But in reality, that only happens a small percentage of the time. Whether virtually or in physical reality, it's very common to feel alone in your grief. In the past, the more common ways to feel supported were to sign up for grief counseling or join a bereavement support group. Now, people are finding grief support groups on Facebook. Although Facebook groups can provide a convenient platform to share your grief, please use caution. Be conscientious about your intentions and your expectations. It's easy to feel more hurt when your post isn't acknowledged the way you hoped for, or you get responses full of platitudes, cliches, or superficial substance. You just listened to the post titled, "Does Joining a Grief Support Group on Facebook Help?" by Reid Peterson of GriefRefuge.com.
I always like to begin the year by clearing out my closet, but this year I'm also upgrading it with pieces that will last beyond the season from Quince. Quince creates timeless essentials that never go out of style, like 100% Mongolian cashmere crew neck sweaters from $59, 100% leather jackets, and fitted pants. And by partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. We're talking 50 to 80% savings. Plus, Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. My girlfriend and I are so happy with the rug that we got from Quince. They do offer home goods as well as clothes. As promised, it was definitely a great deal. It was one of many rugs they offer that have a really timeless look. And for me, you really can't put a price on items that are manufactured ethically. So, upgrade your closet with Quince. Go to quince.com/ORD for free shipping and 365-day returns on your order. That's QUINCE.com/ORD to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/ORD.
This episode is brought to you by Bumble, who says Valentine's Day is just for couples. Just because you're not in a relationship doesn't mean you can't get out there and live your best love life. That's where Bumble comes in. This February 14th, you can flip the script and give those relationshippers a friendly dose of FOMO. Say no to staying in this Valentine's Day and yes to more. More dates, more first kisses, more gossip for the group chat girlies. Do Valentine's your way. Date now on Bumble.
And a big thanks to Reid for such a great post today. I really love how he's chronicled his arc of feelings upon first seeing that post on Facebook. It's all so relatable, isn't it? It's so easy for us to see something really vulnerable get shared and wonder why the person sharing would expose themselves like this on social media. It's easy to think sometimes that doing so almost delegitimizes their pain. After all, how could going to social media be something they prioritize if things are indeed that bad? It took me a while to not get stuck in this loop of thinking myself. But as Reid explores, just as those posting shouldn't have expectation, nor should we who are reading. Healing comes in many forms. How and where people choose to express their feelings comes in many forms too. We must look past how we expect others to both grieve and support. And as always, adopt the mentality of care and curiosity. We still always have the option of asking others if there's anything we can do for them or how we can be of service. This type of approach towards someone who is struggling will always be paramount and reminds them that you're flexible and willing to give them space, which can go a really long way. So, thanks a lot to Reid for this one. We are done now, though, so I appreciate you staying till the end. I hope that, as usual, you stop in tomorrow as we continue along with another great post about relationship building. And that's where your optimal life awaits.